Academy of Assassins is a smutty teenage power fantasy about— no, that's not fair. Academy of Assassins is the story of Morgan, a sympathetic Sue with no friend— Academy of Assassins, a book by Stacey Brutcher, is a romantic urban fantasy drama about an assassin called Morgan Moran and the 4 or 5 meat slabs whom she can't seem to keep out of her pants. Wait. Meat slabs whom she can't seem to keep out of it. Yeah. AoA is the book about the female hunter— pay attention, that's really important! Morgan being sent to the titular academy to uncover a conspiracy orchestrated by the powers of the primordial realm who also rather conveniently have ties to Morgan's elusive past. The synopsis may not sound like it, but this book is first and foremost a romantic teen drama, as in the only time our protagonist isn't treated like a reject is when guys are falling all over her, with what story I could string together seems made only to serve the immediate testosterone-fueled conflict, whatever it is and however contrived it may be. There are 3 worlds in the AoA universe: Earth, the primordial realm, and the void linking them. The primordial realm suffers an epidemic of vampirism and lycanthropy, so the denizens of the realm exile the contagious carriers through the void to Earth, where they somehow survive their sufferings and live their life in their new forms. About 1,000 years later, the primordial realm starts to run out of magic, so they travel to Earth to take back all the vamps and werewolves and suck all the magic out of them. Our protagonist, Morgan Moran, showed up in a forest near a witch coven with a magic limiting talk on her neck, runes carved into her back, and no memory of her past 10 years of life. McGregor found her and raised her to be a hunter, a largely male profession because the talk isn't coming off anytime soon, so the alternative of being a witch is closed off to her. Act 1. A group of hunters leave the coven they've stayed at for weeks, for reasons not explained to them, to take down a bothersome imp. Morgan Moran and Asher, her primordial hellhound companion, tail them into the nearby forest because the Morgan's runes warned her of the danger they were getting into. Said danger arrives in the form of an ambushing minotaur, which the hunters are hopeless in taking down. Morgan, seeing the predicament they've gotten themselves into, sticks the minotaur in the eye with a throwing knife and runs off before she's overwhelmed by her womanly emotions in the presence of such manly men. Morgan picks up the imp's trail, but it spots her before she catches it, and it leads the pursuing Morgan to a bounty hunting wraith, who gets all smug about catching her in its trap. The wraith, alongside the imp, attack Morgan. She deals with the imp relatively quickly, but the wraith knocks her down and starts dragging her to a portal to the primordial realm. Asher decides to make himself useful, careening through the woods to tackle the wraith through the portal with him, and the portal closes immediately after he's through. How shocking and not at all contrived. Morgan returns to the coven, distraught at the loss of her friend, and is spotted by one of the guards who tells her McGregor wants to see her. So she goes to McGregor's office and finds 4 people. McGregor, of course, Catalina, no clue why she's here, and 2 enormous golden dragons, who have no lines and never show up past this scene, so I may as well say they're enormous golden dragons, if only to make them feel just a little bit valued as characters. Anyway, this Catalina character gets marginally more development. I'd sincerely hope so. In that she basically exists to be the personified composite of 40 grit sandpaper glued to a rusty kitchen knife. McGregor recognizes his mistake of inviting her and promptly kicks her out. He tells Morgan about the invitations to the AoA he's been taking from a male for years, so he had the chance to train her himself, rather than the appropriate reaction of, "You went through my mail? What the hell is wrong with you?" Morgan takes it in her stride and instead questions McGregor on the hunters who were nearly killed on his front lawn. They were, alarmingly, the elite from the academy, who were sent to the coven on the off chance Morgan would follow them and see the potential she was capable of. Morgan then notices the slight tension McGregor has around his eyes, which prompts him to tell her about the murder she's being sent to solve, which, great! An inciting incident. Nice of McGregor to eventually tell her the entire reason she's going, I guess. The next morning, Morgan gets sent through a mirror portal with weapons she isn't supposed to have into the academy, where the first thing she sees is kitchen knife bullying a feeble wizard. Wait. Yeah, there's 2 of them. Lovely. After 4 straight pages of world-building exposition trying to be compelling and pretending to be dialogue, Kitchen Knife 2 makes a swift exit, allowing Morgan and Neil the wizard to work out they're supposed to be roommates. Because Morgan is a hunter, she gets put in the predominantly male hunter dorms, with Neil, who is not a hunter. Neil gives Morgan her textbooks, a map of the academy, and tells her to avoid the basement, subtle foreshadowing, and leaves. Morgan takes a moment to skim through the case file, and she finds that the murdered witches are carved with the same runes she has. She then looks through the provided textbooks and sees that it's written in an ancient primordial language for some reason. So she's like, oh bother, then starts translating it because she's special like that. She sadly isn't special enough to interpret inexplicably confusing maps, and when she tries trusting it, she ends up in the basement. Oh, what a shocker! In the basement, she encounters a primordial creature and chases after it before a hunter comes out of nowhere to stop her and send her out. From here, Morgan has no idea where she is, and barring any authority or providence granting her a cheap way out, I'd say her best hope is to— and she's gone. Where'd she go? Oh, book. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not spending my limited life chasing Morgan around the garden, so I'm going to the next chapter. So the next day, she goes to her first class. It's a lesson on sparring with Draven, Ryder, Kincaid, and Atlas, whom you'll remember as the meatheads who got their various private organs handed to them by the Minotaur earlier. Kincaid starts the class by singling out Morgan for a sparring match, during which they spend far too much time talking about absolutely nothing, finally ending with Kincaid letting her join his hunting team for poorly explained reasons. Main character, right. The Meatshanks continue beating up the rest of the students in the name of education until the end of the lesson, when they all follow an unassuming Morgan to her dorm. Then search it for weapons. I don't know. Then after they found all the contraband, they let her keep it anyway. I don't know. The day after, Morgan goes to orientation. Don't ask me why there was any class before orientation. It's just one of those things we just don't deserve to know. In orientation, we meet the headmistress. She chooses not to be a prick to our main character, and that's the most important thing about her. As per orientation rules, Morgan puts her hand on a magic measuring stone, and because she's just so special, it explodes! Where's she gone now? Oh, Ryder might know. Ryder, you out here?
I found Morgan's throwing knife.
What?
I found Morgan's throwing knife. I found Morgan's throwing knife.
You found Morgan her throwing knife?
Yeah.
Great, but what did I say about slamming people against walls?
Don't do it.
That's right. So when you give her back the knife, what are you not going to do to her?
You here.
What?
She let me keep the knife.
She did. Well, that's nice of her.
Yeah.
Wait, you didn't slam her against a wall when you saw her, right? Ryder!
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize to me. Apologize to her when you next see her, alright?
Okay.
Good. Now, where did she go?
Cafeteria with Neil.
With Neil?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Ryder. I like your dog.
He's a werewolf.
Yeah, cool. So in the cafeteria, Neil exposits at Morgan about nothing for a few minutes until Kitchen Knife shows up, insults Morgan and leaves. After that truly eye-opening turn of events, Morgan decides she's had enough of pointless faff for one day and goes to the gym, trying to find any plot with relation to the actual story. There, she finds Atlas, who proudly holds the title for the least interesting or developed main character in this book. Good on him. After Atlas finishes sparring with Morgan, Draven tells her when she should be ready for the next story beat, which is a warehouse full of gremlins they need to clear out in Act 2. Morgan comes up with a plan that probably makes sense to someone. Morgan decides it's a peasant's game, so slips away and begins trying to solve that mystery she remembers she has to do. Atlas gets carried off by an enormous golden dragon, probably. The headmistress's ill-explained departure allows Morgan to immediately tell Kincaid about the murder she's trying to solve as well. She tells Morgan that being mildly sexually assaulted is no excuse for not working with Kincaid. Morgan has an argument about it and wins, so... No! Don't do that! Hellhounds are bad! She orders him to make sure she's not followed, so Neil goes and does that somewhere else. I mean, why bother at this point?